looking back on our marriage. And we just thought you might really like to read this and discuss it with each other. Chances are, since you've been personal with them, they'll take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Wayne, I find that a lot of couples will spend far more time discussing and planning for the wedding than they do planning and discussing the marriage. And consequently, the wedding's over in a day, The marriage is going to last a lifetime. At least we hope it will. So what I am saying in this book is, let's prepare for the marriage. I'm not going to give you any help in this book on preparing a wedding, okay? You can do that on your own. But I do want to give you some help on how to prepare to be married.
Yeah. All right. The chapters you have in this book are so intriguing, and we're not going to rewrite the book or represent the book here. That's why you wrote it in the first place, is to read and listen to in this audio version. But you've got such great chapters. The lesson learned that being in love is not an adequate foundation for building a successful marriage. The romantic love has 2 stages. What about this chapter, though, that toilets are not self-cleaning? You devote a whole chapter to that, Gary?
Well, couples seldom ever discuss who will clean the toilet. Consequently, 6 weeks into the marriage, they wake up one day and he says to her, honey, the toilet is dirty. And she said, yes, I was wondering when you're going to clean it. Clean it, me? But the chapter obviously deals more than simply with that one issue. It's trying to help couples discuss who will do what once we're married. There's a lot of things to be done after you get married. Somebody's got to buy the groceries, somebody's got to cook, somebody's got to wash dishes and vacuum floors, and on and on and on we go. And couples often don't discuss those issues. They just think, she thinks, I'll do what my mother did. He thinks, I'll do what my father did. But they had different fathers and mothers. They have different ideas of who's going to do what. So I'm trying to help them in that chapter before they get married to discuss those things and to think in terms of what are the guidelines that help us make those decisions. And I think that chapter could be very, very helpful to couples who are contemplating marriage.
Well, it also illustrates that you can approach this on a humorous level. It's deadly serious, obviously, in so much of this, but humor comes into play in a marriage as well, and you model that right in this book.
Well, one of the things I really felt, Dwayne, as I started to write this book is that most couples are not going to go through a heavy-duty, deep, study about marriage before they get married. Now, a few will. But I believe that there's thousands out there that are getting married with almost no preparation. So I wrote this book for the average person, and I wrote it in such a way, as you say, with a little humor along the way, that will engage them, but it will engage them in serious conversation about issues that are extremely important in the marriage. So that's what I'm hoping to do, is to catch those couples who maybe even feel like they don't need any help. But if they start reading the book, they will say to themselves, hey, this is good. We need to talk about this.
Yeah.
That's what I hope is going to happen.
Where were you 37 years ago, Gary?
Yeah, I hear you. I really wish I had this information before we got married, which was more than 37 years ago.
Well, you also talk about how to solve disagreements without arguing. Apologizing is a sign of strength. Forgiveness in marriage, handling money, sexual fulfillment, marrying into a family when you marry a spouse. Spirituality is more than just going to church. So these are all just very practical things to think about.
Well, I shared the table of contents of this book recently with about 1,400 marriage educators around the country, and I just read the content chapters and got an applause just reading the chapter titles, because every one of them realized, oh man, those are the issues. Those are what, couples need to be discussing before they get married. So, I hope that the humor and the lightness of this book will engage couples as they're dating. It will help many of them to decide either to marry or not to marry. It'll help those who decide to marry, go into marriage much better prepared than if they simply had, just operated on love.
Sure. Well, we're very excited about this book, Things I Wish I'd Known Before We Got Married. But of course, it's built on a foundation. That foundation is Scripture. And it's built on the foundation of your previous work, the 5 love languages, and I know that has to come into play here, too.
Yes, we do. I incorporate that in one of the chapters because